Good day and welcome to the news roundup for Thursday, January 26. I am Abigail Smythe. Among the stories in this evening's newscast, a 12-year-old girl dies in house fire in East Kingston. Carpenter charged for murdering his own brother in alleged land dispute. Principal and bursar of Seaforth High School in St. Thomas sent on leave following financial irregularities at the school. Over 100 fishers who suffered losses due to chemical spill in Rio Cobre compensated. Air Canada hikes baggage price for flights to Kingston. Travelers not so happy. In business, the prices of all categories of fuel see another week of increases. In the region, a government consensus agreement in place for Haiti's future. Further overseas, millions of Americans from Texas to Maine under winter storm watch. And in sports, West Indies under-19 women's cricket team ends World Cup participation after being beaten by England.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Now for the news in detail. A 12-year-old girl died in a fire at her home on Gilchrist Street, Rollington Town in East Kingston today. She has been identified as Leah Hugh, a student of Kingston High School. It is unclear what started the fire, which reportedly began around midday. The police and fire department were called and the girl's burnt remains were found during cooling down operations by firefighters.
My name is Jermaine Lutin, principal of Kingston High School. Leah was one of those promising students. Came to us in September. She's in grade 7. Very mannerable. Would not pass her without saying good morning or good afternoon. Is one of those students who would have come in with some challenges but would have excelled academically to even be placed Student of the Month. Yesterday she would have collected her certificate as Student of the Month, and today we are very saddened to hear that she would have perished like this, wouldn't have gotten an opportunity to rise to her potential.
We hear that she wasn't at school today. What was the reason?
We are doing our parent consultation, so we have 3 days of parent consultation. Yesterday it was for grade 7 and 9. Today we are doing grade 8 and 10. So unfortunately she would not have been at school today because we are meeting with the other parents of the other grades.
She was out of school legitimately today, and it appears as if the fire occurred while she might have been resting. And I suspect also that while resting, she was engulfed in the smoke, and that has led to her perishing in the fire. It is really quite tragic. Her mother is on the scene. We are here. We are awaiting the police division to process the crime scene as it is being regarded. Her body is still in the house. So we're waiting. It's quite a tragic situation for us.
From your understanding, what may have caused the fire?
Well, we haven't been able to get any details as yet from the fire brigade. They are also processing. We are awaiting the confirmation as to what caused the fire. But it's really quite a tragic situation.
Also, from what you're gathering, do you know she was alone?
It appears as if there might have been somebody else there. That's what the mother reported to me. The mother also said that that person might have exited the building just at the start of the fire. But again, we don't know the
Without
details.
knowledge of knowing
Right.
that the child was there, do you know?
Right. It appears not. The mother is actually here. She's very distraught, and we are here to give support. I'm very happy that Councillor Dobson is here, but also the mayor of the KCC is also here. My understanding is that the mother works at the KCC.
And we will bring you more details as they become available. It is understood that principal of Seaforth High School in St. Thomas, Calbert Thomas, and the school's bursar, Noel Williamson, have been sent on leave with immediate effect. This follows months of investigation by the Ministry of Education, which uncovered a number of financial irregularities at the school, including non-remittance of deductions. In November last year, teachers staged 2 days days of sit-in at the school to protest the non-payment of deductions. The decision to send the principal and bursar at Seaforth High School on leave followed a board meeting on Wednesday. They will remain off the job pending the outcome of investigations by the school's personnel committee. According to the financial management report, the school's administrators withheld employees' personal deductions and pension payments for the period September 2021 to September 2022. The total amount withheld for the period was more than $21 million. The report says the principal and bursar made no attempt to pay over the deductions for the Accountant General's Department and Sagicor Life. Investigators determined that there was unauthorized overriding of standard internal control mechanisms and blatant breach of government financial management instructions, as well as inadequate monitoring of the cash management controls by the school's administrators. It also found that during the period June to September 2022, payment amounting to more than $900,000 representing reimbursement for mileage to traveling officers was done from the subvention account. No budgetary provision was made in the subvention account for mileage reimbursement. The financial management report says the principal and bursar were reimbursed mileage from the subvention on September 30, 2022, before considerations were given to remit the personal deductions of employees. The report recommended that disciplinary proceedings be considered against the principal and bursar as their failure to remit employees' personal deductions resulted directly from their neglect of duties. It was also disclosed that the principal, Calbert Thomas, received a salary advance of $100,000 from the school's account, which he has since reimbursed. The Ministry of Education raised concern after it was discovered that Mr. Thomas signed the check for the salary advance. In the meantime, Minister of Education Favour Williams has condemned the conduct of a teacher at the Newell High School in St. Elizabeth who was seen in a video verbally assaulting, chasing, and threatening a student with death. Minister Williams says his behavior is unprofessional and inexcusable and notes that the footage has been referred to the Office of the Children's Advocate and the Commissioner of Police for investigation. She argues that such behavior lowers the professionalism of the teaching sector. She states that the school board chairman has called an emergency meeting for Friday to deal with the conduct of the teacher. The education minister notes that it has been reported that this is not the first time that the teacher has acted in a similar threatening manner towards students. She says the students will receive counseling and psychotherapy to treat with the trauma caused by the verbal abuse and violent threat to which they were exposed. She also highlights the need for psychotherapy sessions for the teacher. More than 100 fishers who suffered losses due to last July's chemical spill in the Rio Cobra in St. Catherine have been compensated. The payout was made at the Bog Walk Seventh-day Adventist Church in St. Catherine on Wednesday. Vice Chairman of the St. Catherine Parish Development Committee, Kestenard Gordon, says the fishers are satisfied with the payout. He says the revelation of the payments has caused more fishers who had initially been skeptical to come forward with their claims for compensation. Ms. Thompson, a fisher who benefited from the payout, says the funds will be pumped into other business ventures. The government announced last November that it would pay out a total of $16 million in compensation to affected fishers. The funds were drawn from the Environmental Performance Bond. One inmate was treated and released from hospital, while at least 4 others were bundled into a police truck and carted away from the Ocho Rios lockup Wednesday evening after what a police inspector described as a major disturbance at the facility. Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of policing in St. Anne, Dwight Powell, says the police were entering the cell to do a search when they were verbally and physically attacked. He adds that in subduing the prisoners, one was injured. Inspector Robert Forbes of the Ocho Rios Police Station notes that sometime after 4 p.m., inmates began began issuing threats to the police, which led to the disturbance at the lockup. By 6:30 p.m., he declared the major disturbance quelled. Earlier in the day, it was a chaotic scene as soldiers and a fire unit were dispatched to the police station and curious onlookers milled about outside the locked gates. According to sources, the inmates were removed from the Ocho Rios station Wednesday evening and transferred to Portland. SSP Powell says the disturbance was unrelated to 5 inmates being charged Tuesday with assault occasioning grievous bodily harm and unlawful wounding in connection with the beating of another inmate. A carpenter has been charged with the killing of his own brother in Miketown, Manchester on Thursday, January 19. Charged is 38-year-old Lemon Brown of Love Lane, Miketown in the parish. He has been charged with the murder of 48-year-old Michael Brown, also of a Miketown, Manchester address, and Waterford in England. Reports from the Mandeville police are that about 12:20 a.m., Michael, who was visiting from England, was at home when he was pounced upon by a lone gunman who opened gunfire, hitting him in the upper body. The police were summoned and he was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Concentrated evidence led to the arrest and charge of Lemon. Community sources say Michael was involved in a bitter family feud over several properties which were left behind by his recently deceased mother. 2 St. Catherine men have been charged with several offenses after they allegedly sexually assaulted a mentally ill woman during a party in Ty-Dixon District, St. Catherine on Saturday, December 31. Ronaldo Johnson, otherwise called Mario, a 20-year-old auto electrician, and Delvin Llewellyn, otherwise called Sean, a 32-year-old carpenter, have been charged with forcible abduction, rape, having sexual intercourse with a mentally ill person, buggery, and grievous sexual assault. Reports are that the mentally challenged woman was at a party in the community when Johnson and Llewellyn dragged her into bushes and allegedly took turns sexually assaulting and raping her. A report was made to the police, who commenced an investigation. The men were subsequently arrested after they were pointed out by the woman during an identification parade. Johnson and Llewellyn were later charged after being interviewed in the presence of their attorney. The men will appear in the St. Catherine Parish Court on Wednesday, February 1. Air Canada passengers traveling from Toronto Pearson to Kingston's Norman Manley International Airport will now have to pay $200 Canadian for an extra piece of checked luggage. The airline introduced the new baggage fees a week ago, penalizing Jamaicans who are known to check large bags when traveling. The fees will apply to basic, standard, flex, and comfort fares and are per direction. The first bag will continue to attract $30 Canadian, while the second checked bag is priced at $200 Canadian, and each additional bag is listed at $500 Canadian. An Air Canada official says the fee structure for the Kingston flights were adjusted because the airplanes used on that route are smaller with less cargo space. The Air Canada official adds that the additional bag fee is to promote a fairer distribution of available baggage capacity and to encourage customers to pack more conservatively. It was also deemed a better option than simply placing a limit on the number of bags per person. Air Canada is the first carrier to charge such exorbitant fees for additional bags for passengers traveling to Jamaica. The news has been met with outrage by Jamaicans on social media, who are suggesting a boycott of the carrier. In business news, effective today, the prices of all categories of fuel will see another week of increases. A liter of 87 and 80 gasoline will sell for $4.50 more. That's the highest ex-refinery rates have been for these categories since the start of the year. Diesel, ultra-low sulfur diesel, and kerosene will also increase by $4.50. Propane and butane will replicate last week's rise, selling for $3.06 more. Each petroleum marketing company will add its own markup to the ex-refinery prices. In the region, the United Nations representative in Haiti says a government consensus agreement is in place for the country's future future. This comes against an increase in kidnappings, deaths, and displacements in parts of Haiti, no elected government officials, and a slew of sanctions against high-level Haitian politicians. The representative says several closed-room diplomatic meetings took place late last year. The agreement was signed by political figures, religious authorities, trade unions, and private industry, and includes a calendar for installing an elected government in Haiti by February 2024. On the international scene, millions of Americans from Texas to Maine are under a winter storm watch as forecasters warn of flash flooding, severe thunderstorms, and heavy snow in many areas. The National Weather Service said on Wednesday that a tornado watch is also in effect for parts of Florida and Georgia. It comes a day after a tornado ripped through Texas, causing severe destruction along its route. There have been no reported deaths. More than 160,000 homes and businesses in Arkansas, Missouri, and Texas were without power Wednesday morning. At least 250 flights have been delayed and more than 300 cancelled. And finally, in sports, the West Indies under-19 women's team ended their participation at the World Cup in South Africa on Wednesday, following a humbling 95-run defeat to England in their Super Clash. England piled up 179 for 4 from their 20 overs. The Windies also bowled 23 extras. In their chase, the West Indians labored to 84 for 8. The Caribbean side won only 2 of their 5 matches. And that's it for your news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. See you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, yellow! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!